I'm gonna get on my boat, and I'm going upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home, and who wants to go with me?
Let's go!
You're listening to the Cage Nation TV Prizefight podcast. Coming to you from the Candid Cameron Studios in State College, Pennsylvania. Here's your host, Albert Cameron.
It's Friday, fight fans, and you know what that means. Friday's the Friday 5 at CageNationTV.com, where this week we counted down 5 fighters with over 100 professional fights on their careers. Friday also means the Prizefight podcast here at CageNationTV.com and SoundCloud.com. Those podcasts are going to be backed up to YouTube.com, so we can make sure you're getting all your Prizefight coverage here at CageNationTV.com. Today I've decided to take the high road. I'm not going to talk about Connor McGregor. That'd be stupid. Of course I'm going to be talking about Connor McGregor. In fact, to talk about Connor McGregor, let's cue up some action news music here. So earlier in the week, Connor McGregor absolutely set the MMA world on fire with a single tweet. Probably the most important tweet certainly of the month. It started a news firestorm, possibly the most important of the year. The reactions and outcry, possibly of the decade. Connor McGregor started this whole thing off with a tweet that says, "I've decided to retire young, thanks for the cheese." Now, I'm not hip on young kid lingo. Cheese could mean any number of things. Cheese could mean a pat on the back. Hey, thanks for supporting me. Thanks for the cheese. Cheese could also mean like something illicit, like something you buy in a back alley. Like, hey man, you got some cheese? More than likely, it means money and support. Conor McGregor was thanking everybody for the money and the support. Conor McGregor has come out to being probably one of the most important prize fighters, certainly one of the most recognizable prize fighters of this decade. Now, we're a little over halfway through the 2010s. We saw a lot of changes, a lot of champions come up. Anderson Silva was in his prime. The notorious Conor McGregor, easily one of the most recognizable, one of the most public. In March, Conor McGregor lost a catchweight bout to Nate Diaz in a way that no one ever suspected he would lose, which would be by submission, by the rear naked choke. This happened on the same night that Holly Holm succumbed to a Miesha Tate rear naked choke. Conor McGregor was reported as walking away with a solid $1 million even in defeat. That's absolutely unheard of in modern mixed martial arts. Absolutely unheard of. Who walks away with $1 million? Well, apparently Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was scheduled to rematch with Nate Diaz at UFC 200. Now, if you remember UFC 100, that was a big deal. It was I don't know what the word for it, century? 100 events. And then there's been 100 events since then, or will be 100 events since then whenever UFC 200 comes up. So we needed a big, high-profile fight to celebrate 200 UFC events, counting all the way back to 1993, where Royce Gracie defeated Gerard Gordeau in the main event of UFC 1, going all the way 200 events where Conor McGregor was going to be taking on Nate Diaz. Out of nowhere, Conor McGregor tweets. He tweets. He's a Twitter. He tweets. I don't tweet. I don't tweet often. He tweets, "I've decided to retire young, thanks for the cheese." Now, that puts everyone in a real bind, especially Nate Diaz. If you are in the world of mixed martial arts and you have any direct lineage to the Diaz brothers, of course I'm talking about Nick and Nate, if you have any direct lineage to the Diaz brothers, you are ready to fight, always ready to fight. In fact, Nate Diaz stepped up to fight Conor McGregor when Rafael Dos Anjos couldn't. Nate says, "Yeah, I'll go in and bang, I'll fight, pay me." He wasn't surprised when he won against McGregor. So now Conor McGregor's threatening to retire. He says he's retiring. It's not a threat. He says, "I'm retiring." Well, now that leaves Nate Diaz without an opponent. Of course, I'm sure Donald Cerrone was bargaining to replace either one of them before any one of them would have dropped out. Donald Cerrone is that kind of guy. We know it. We love it. It happens. So then the UFC goes on the immediate defensive, which is smart promotional work. That is smart business. If you're planning a milestone event like UFC 200 and one of your main eventers has decided they're not going to show, well, immediately you need to go into panic mode. Immediately you need to try to find a replacement for Conor McGregor. And word going around was Georges St. Pierre might be making his UFC return. Could it be against Nate Diaz? St. Pierre, probably one of the most dominant UFC welterweight champions of all time, would have been a great match for Diaz. It would have been something to see. It would have been reason to still get in your wallet, hey, Conor McGregor's not fighting, but Georges St. Pierre's coming back. How has retirement treated Georges St. Pierre? UFC, Dana White, going to media outlets saying Conor McGregor's not on the card. If Conor McGregor retiring was a power play like everyone suspects it was, if it was a power play, they bluffed with the wrong guys with the UFC. You don't want to play ball? That's fine. Go home. We're taking our fight card. It's still going to happen. Consequences be damned. It's going to happen. Dana White goes on the herd and says, we've got contingencies. We've got to make plans. Conor McGregor will likely fight in the UFC again, but it won't be at UFC 200. Fast forward a couple days. Conor McGregor lays out one of the best heartfelt explanations for what happened that I think fans would have accepted no less. Conor McGregor laid it out as it was. He's paid to fight. Conor McGregor's direct income, his direct income producing activities is by throwing hands. It's not like the regional guys here. Conor McGregor does not get any commission off of selling tickets. Conor McGregor only gets paid when he shows up to fight. He gets paid more when he wins. Conor McGregor says when he fought Nate Diaz, he wasn't in the best condition, so he wants to focus on conditioning. He wants to take time off of doing pressers to concentrate on fighting. Now, Dana White says everyone's got to help promote this thing, especially when it's the main eventer. They got to help promote. Dana White says that Conor McGregor was officially pulled off the UFC 200 card because he wouldn't attend the pressers. Conor McGregor comes back and says it's not a presser. It was more like a world tour. It was a world tour of places I need to be, people I need to talk to. He's done thousands of interviews. He's been on morning shows. And those folks may not very well appreciate what he does in the cage. Can you say that the morning show with Lisa and Rachel cares about Conor McGregor as a title contender, as a prize fighter, as a mixed martial artist? No, it's all about ratings. It's all about ratings and getting the good interview, getting the good soundbite, breaking the scoop. That's what it is for a lot of folks. Of course, I would talk to Conor McGregor anytime, any day of the week, and I talked to him about what he wanted to talk about. Conor, how's your training go? If he didn't want to talk to Cage Nation TV or the Prizefight podcast because he wants to train, my brother, you go be the strongest Conor McGregor you can be. Now here is the other side of the coin. Conor McGregor's move, retiring, saying he wants to retire, and then coming back saying, oh no, I'm not retired. I'm still going to fight. I just need to train. I need to collect myself. Well, his stunt, his play, could have endangered the UFC 200 card. John Bones Jones was unable to compete, and they canceled UFC 151. That happened. A main eventer has that much pull, that much gravity, that much bearing on a situation where to not show up for a fight in the main event of a big card, they can pull it. They could have taken time to regroup. They could have taken time to recover. So while I agree with Conor McGregor and what he's saying, I agree that he needs to be a prize fighter. He needs to focus on cardio. He needs to focus on improving his skills. He needs to focus on winning that rematch. I agree with that. I see his points. I empathize with. But at the same time, I also understand that the UFC is an entertainment vessel. We all get together. We go to fights to be entertained. We watch fist fights to be entertained. That entertainment is a business that needs to rely on star power for income. The number was thrown out that there was $10 million allotted for the promotion of UFC 200. Conor McGregor says he probably tripled that with one tweet, and I can agree. When Conor McGregor said he was retiring, we all took notice. We all stepped up and said, what? What's going on here? I don't get it. That happened. We all paid attention. We're all wondering who, what, where, when now. Who's going to replace Conor McGregor? Who's the bout going to be? Are they going to pull Nate Diaz? Is George St. Pierre coming in? Is Conor McGregor really coming in? Is he pulling a power play? Does he need more money? Does he want more money? Is he fielding offers from other combat sports to leave the UFC? Well, I can't imagine it would be boxing. On the Cage Nation TV Facebook page, I put out there saying Conor McGregor retired, but how much would Golden Boy or Premier Boxing Champions pay him to main event a boxing pay-per-view? Well, the short answer is the UFC contract is ironclad and would not let him do such a thing. Second answer is they wouldn't pay him enough to walk away from the UFC, especially if he drew $1 million in his last fight. Now, the rematch with Nate Diaz, he's coming in as the underdog who needs retribution, who needs to make sure that Nate Diaz is served a healthy dose of comeuppance. That's Conor McGregor's position, or at least it was. As of right now, Conor McGregor will not be fighting on UFC 200. He could be fighting on UFC 201, but he will not be on UFC 200. So while Conor McGregor's actions were drastic, he did put a lot of guys' incomes in potential jeopardy. Being a main eventer like that carries a lot of substantial burden. Well, in much lighter news, of course, Gladiators of the Cage is going to be returning to Stage AE on June 6th, where Joey the Hitman Holtz can be taking on Jordan Rinaldi for the lightweight title. Rob Hanna is scheduled to be in Pittsburgh that night to crown the lightweight champion. Of course, Hanna vacated that title to drop to featherweight. Valley Fight League is going to be returning to West Virginia, which, that's awesome. I love Valley Fight League's concept. Boxing and MMA, I can't believe it was in Altoona. I can't believe we all didn't embrace it more. That was absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. I want you to disagree with me. I want you to get on your phones and tell me why I was wrong. You can always comment on Facebook, shoot us a tweet, shoot me an email at cagenationtv.com. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, fights, Cameron, action. Thank you for tuning in to the Cage Nation Prizefight Podcast. All rights reserved, 2015-2016 Planetary Sports. The Prizefight Podcast is part of the Cage Nation Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.cagenationtv.com.